Hi, my name is Victoria. Welcome to another episode of Bad Book Bingo, where I try to get bingo reading a terrible romance novel. If you enjoy watching me suffer, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about, drumroll please, The Dragon's Curvy Counsellor by Annabelle Winters. Full disclosure, this is the third in a series, but this can be read as a standalone, so there's no overarching plot that I'm going to get lost in. I am confident that I can keep up. The others in the series are the assistant, the banker, the doctor, the engineer, the firefighter. It's all alphabetical, you see. Even in the counselor, both of the MCs have C names, so it goes A, B, you get it. You'll understand what alphabetical is. I picked this one because this seemed like the weirdest and the most unethical, so that's fun. I also have to point out that this cover is so much better than the original cover. That photo with that horror movie editing job does a horrifying disservice to women over size 14 everywhere. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the bingo card we are working with if you want to play along. So we still haven't gotten bingo in this series. This is number 3. I'm really hoping third time's the charm. Would love to get a bingo. I feel like we can already say there are too many in this series. I don't know that there needed to be, there's 7 now? And it looks like she might just keep going to fill out the entire alphabet here. I'm also going to check off great cover because it was seriously an upgrade. It's a compelling cover, I have to admit. The book opens with our main character, Callie. She is inside of a prison and there's gun smoke everywhere. She is a prison therapist and her patient has just tried to kill her. Just launched out of a chair and tried to straight up murder her. The guards luckily put 3 bullets in his back before he was able to get to her, and it's all kind of chaos. Callie feels really bad that he's been shot. This guy named Crane. It's one hell of a name. As eventually the medics come in and get him onto the stretcher, she uses the word massive twice on the same page to describe his body. He's like a bodybuilder, absolutely ripped, shredded, this enormous man. We can check off rippling muscles. While they are wheeling him out on a stretcher as he's chained to the bed, she has an instinct that this person is her fated mate. She apparently, right before this altercation, this appointment happened, she was on the phone with one of her friends from a previous book who was like, yeah, so we have an instinct that you have a fated mate with a dragon and we're gonna give you all of this information about it, which from a narrative perspective, I kind of appreciate because this is just kind of an info dump about this is the world, here you go. And it's unsubtle, but this is 150-page dragon erotica. I'm not, that is not what I am here for. So I do kind of appreciate that. So what you need to know about this world is that fated mates, it's like an insta-love soulmate connection that you can immediately sense. But also there are men who can shapeshift into dragons. It's a little weird that it's not just a dragon form. It's you are spiritually connected to a dragon that lives in your body, that can possess you and turn you into a dragon sometimes. And the whole thing is that these men, their dragon powers can't activate until they find their fated mate. So Callie's just got this sense that she's had this conversation. It's in the back of her mind. And she's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm feeling for this guy who just tried to kill me, who happens to be my patient, and I am his therapist. Illegal. 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 Ooh, okay. Also, insta-love. They're immediately madly in love with each other. So, I mean, look, I appreciate that in this book there's a reason that they're insta-love. It's this soulmate spiritual thing that, happens due to magic. It's less believable when the author is just this is the real world, and they're just immediately in love before they've even gone on a first date. That I find is more annoying, but like here, because it's like built in, I'm like, okay, I can get on board with this. You gave me a good reason. It takes very little to satisfy me with these. The bar is low. So before Crane is taken away to the hospital, Callie gets a moment with him. Why they left her alone with him after he just tried to murder her, I don't know. But okay. She is sensing that there's something weird going on. Crane's injuries are basically already healed. It's been like 10 minutes. This is wild. So there's definitely something weird here. And Callie, like, doesn't believe in dragon shifters at this point, but again, she's like recalling this conversation with her friend and like, oh, this is odd. I'm feeling these strong feelings and like his body is being weird. She's also realizing that the gun smoke that she saw surrounding her in the room might not have been gun smoke at all. She thinks it was smoke from him, like he was filling up the room with smoke as like his body heated up in like a dragon sort of way. We don't really get a good sense of what exactly happened to lead to the attack. Like, it was just like a hello, how are you, and he just like launched at her. We don't really like, we never find out what happened there. But he tells her, I would never hurt you. He like feels these really strong feelings. He says he would never hurt her, but he literally just tried to kill her. So it's a little unbelievable. Then we get a perspective from Crane. He is a little hazy. There's like a lot of weird things going on in his body right now. He doesn't really know what's happening to him. He's like got this fever. He's having these visions of like serpents and snakes and dragons. He is having a time. He doesn't know what dragon shapeshifters are. He doesn't know that he is one. He's just like, my body is really hot and I just tried to kill someone and I feel very strongly for this beautiful woman and I'm seeing dragons everywhere. What's going on? He starts fantasizing about her while they're kind of alone in the room together. And I just need to read you this beautiful quote. And I don't pleasure myself. Never have, never will. I'm a loose cannon when it comes to a fight, but I'm in supreme control when it comes to my... I've long since recognized the spiritual power a man gains from holding his seed. My outlet's always been violence, not sex. Look, I never say this, but I think this man needs to masturbate more. Sir, have you considered that if you'd had an orgasm at all in the past 3 years that he's been in jail, that he hasn't been able to have conjugal visits, that you might feel less violent if you just relieved some of that tension in a more positive way? I would be a little violent too under those circumstances, not having any O's in 3 years at all. But I'd be a little crabby. I would. Maybe. Look, at least he's in therapy, right? So he is then trying to tell her about all of these symptoms, and Callie comes over and looks into his eyes and sees that there's like a dragon swimming in his irises. And then a couple seconds later, she's like, yeah, no, you're probably a dragon. Let me explain this to you. So she's already now on board. We go from disbelieving to totally believing in the span of 15 minutes, which at least there's efficiency here. I appreciate the efficiency. We then find out that Crane is like, his body is trying to turn into a dragon a little bit because he's found his fated mate, but he can't fully get there because he's not like spiritually ready. These dragons are like from a spiritual realm. It seems like it's a guardian angel sort of situation. And in order for him to be able to get into his form, he needs to be with his mate, but also like prove himself worthy of being able to handle this insane power that he's gonna get. The dragon inside Crane specifically is incredibly exasperated, which is hilarious. Imagine having a centuries-old spiritual being inside you, and you finally get to like talk to it and ask it questions, and it's like, you're literally the worst. All of the other dragons laugh at me in the underworld because I'm stuck with you. How embarrassing. It's great. I love it. So the exasperated dragon spirit tells him that he has to claim his mate and bring himself into balance before he can like unlock the way of the voice and become the dragonborn. Sure. We find out then that he went to jail for like mostly robbery. Like, he is a career criminal and he's been in for theft sort of things, not assaulty sort of things, which is kind of weird considering he just tried to assault someone. I feel like that guy just doesn't have good impulse control on that. But he's a career criminal, and he has 6 months left on his sentence. And Callie is like, look, we can be together. We can like figure this out. But you have to stay in jail. You can't just break out. There's going to be people looking for us. That's like a whole thing. You just gotta ride it out, and then we'll be free, and then we can finally be together. And he's like, okay, I have a reason to look forward to my future. I'm going to try to be responsible. I'm going to be the new Crane that you deserve. Just, he's trying personal growth. He did just try to murder her like 30 minutes ago, though. So I feel like he's going through some mood swings. Oh, we do get him offering to burn down the entire prison, though. So I'm going to say I would kill for you, because he would definitely just like murder other people for her. Crane gets taken away, and Callie decides to go visit her friend who is telling her about this fated dragon mate stuff. So she goes to visit her friend, and they have tea and eat some cookies, and the woman turns into a dragon in front of her and is like, hey, once Crane claims you, you'll be able to turn into a dragon too. It's going to be super fucking cool, which is fun. It's like a vampire man is going to turn you into a vampire, except you get to be a dragon. I like that. I would still pick vampire, but like being a dragon would kind of be more fun. It's 50-50, 60-40. Let me know in the comments whether you would rather be a vampire or a dragon. But there is one catch about turning into a dragon. So there is a 50-50 chance that it'll kill her. 50% chance you turn into a dragon, 50% chance you just die and your body can't handle it. It's very Trial of the Grasses, Dragon Age origins stuff. Callie's a little freaked out by that, so she like goes for a walk, understandably, in this like, it seems like they're in a castle of some sort. We get this little gem while she's walking around. Then I notice my heart is still pounding so hard, my boobs are bouncing like I'm on a trampoline. Look, as someone who also has some volume going on in here, my boobs have never jiggled because my heart rate is going so fast. Because I'm running maybe, but not just, you can't like see my heartbeat through my, look, women with bigger chests, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's how boobs work. So I'm gonna say boobs too sentient in this one. So Callie is contemplating whether or not she wants to be a dragon and her mortality and all of that. And this is immediately resolved because she just turns into a dragon by herself. She doesn't even need Crane. She just turns into a dragon. It turns out that the cookies that she was fed had some stardust in them. And because her like dragon guardian angel is a star dragon, that like triggered her transformation. I don't know why they explained the like she might die thing if it wasn't actually going to be used. It's not. Okay. Callie's first interaction with her dragon is very middle grade animal book-ish. Like it's very, finally I can be the woman I've always wanted. It's very cheesy. It's not my thing at all. It's a bit cringe. And like not even in a fun way. It's just a bit cringe. She realizes she's a magic special star dragon. And the first thing that she decides to do with her dragon is break a violent man out of prison. I'm not sure that this dragon is a good influence on her. Meanwhile, back in prison, Crane is being subjected to a bunch of experiments because the guards are like, I want to know why he healed so fast. What's going on here? So the warden is like, got a bunch of scientists. It seems like there's like this shadow organization that's kind of like trying to study them, like the dragons. It's not clear. It probably was explained in a previous book, but basically bad men trying to take blood samples. Well, Crane is like chained up to a wall. So Crane is like thinking about turning into a dragon. He's trying to like make it happen, but like he's not with his fated mate right now, and like they haven't like consummated the relationship, so he's not sure if he can. And at the very last minute, Callie swoops in and burns all of the guards to a crisp. Callie comes in and saves him, which is a nice subversion of the man saves woman thing. And I will mention at this junction, like, while this book is not high literature, and it's certainly not my thing necessarily, I don't think this is poorly written. It really seems like the author did put care and consideration and love into this book and has some skill with which to craft it. So I will say, if this is your jam, I would actually recommend the series. I think this is fine. It's just not my thing. I think I have to check off books. I liked it. So because Callie came back and rescued him, Crane finally feels secure enough in their relationship that he can turn into a dragon too. So he like breaks his chains and like does the whole dragon thing. Mid-escape, we get this little quote. Thankfully, I don't hit anyone with my sparkling flame, but I get close enough to send a few guards running for their lives, shouting stuff like, I ain't paid enough for this shit, or, oh man, today's my last day before retirement, and I got a firefight breathing monster? Fuck that. Which, yeah, that would also be my reaction. Nobody's paying me enough for that. Absolutely not. After the escape, though, they realize that they may not have fully thought through the consequences of their actions. Oh, right, I say with a nervous laugh. We set a bunch of thieves and murderers loose on the town. They aren't such bad guys, Crane says. Besides, you fixed their brains with your psychotrigonometrics, didn't ya? I feel like this isn't great. I feel like you can't just let a bunch of convicted criminals loose with no supervision and no consequences run around a town. Like, are there convicted murderers and rapists in there? I'm thinking there might be, and I think some of those should maybe stay where they were. Also, Callie, as their psychiatrist, therapist lady, whatever level she is at, should know that there are some guys who should probably still be there. Like, I'm not saying all of them are gonna run out and, like, be terrible people, but, like, maybe we should have considered this first. We never come back to this thought ever again. This is never resolved at all. It's just like, oh, whoops, there's not such bad guys anyway. It's fine. Okay. Also, I am gonna check off overpowered MC because she does burn down an entire prison by herself. And there's no one there to stop them. Like, there's not really a villain in this piece who's actually creating any conflict whatsoever. Like, they're the guys trying to get blood samples, and, like, the guards are clearly not great people, but they're not really villains because they don't actually pose any sort of threat. What I want to see is some, like, rival dragon faction that's, like, also secretly evil. Or, like, the super high-tech dragon capturing team. What, along those lines. Like, that would be actually a problem. Whereas these guys, not really a problem because you can just torch them. So, while they're still in the ruins of the prison, they get down to business. Luckily, they do transform out of their dragon forms first, so that's nice. Callie uses the word magnificence as a euphemism for Crane's man bits. I can't believe that this is the second time I've had to say this on this channel, but magnificent or magnificence, nobody's bits are magnificent. They're just bits. Like, you can be into those bits, but, like, I've never seen anyone's bits that are awe-inspiring. It would have to sparkle and shoot cotton candy for me to be like, oh, well, that's cool. You know? I really question the word choice here. Some of the imagery and the metaphors used in this sex scene is awful. I would read them to you. I just can't because I'm trying not to get my channel banned. But some of the things that he does with his tongue and other bits, there are things that I just don't think are biologically possible. And in fact, I would hope are not biologically possible. Like, there's a lot of fluids and gushing. And I get that some people are into that sort of thing, but, like, and, like, that's fine. If that's your kink, that's great, but it wasn't presented like it was like, oh, I'm going for this kink. It's just, like, presented as an I don't know what I'm doing sort of way. You know, it just wasn't appetizing. I'm going to say that there are some things that were going on that were not physically probable. Oh, you're so close to a bingo. There's also an acknowledgement that the dragons inside them are like watching and enjoying this, which I prefer. Like if you're into voyeurism, that's cool, but it just feels extra weird when like it's not a human watching you, it's a dragon. That just feels, I don't like that. And like the dragons are in your body. I don't know if they can consent to this. I mean, it seems like they're consenting, but like they don't really have they can't stop it. I don't think. I think they're just like locked in to those bodies. It feels weird. I wish they could just like turn that off. And as the scene subsides, we also find out that traditionally the first coupling of a dragon and his fated mate results in pregnancy almost immediately. So she knows she's already pregnant, which is like, can he not just buy her dinner first? Maybe you could have used don't have a baby with someone that you met earlier that day who tried to kill you earlier that day. Maybe take some time and think about it. Just a thought. Just a suggestion. So this is an immediate problem for them because while she's pregnant, she can't turn into her dragon form. So Crane has to take some time and turn back into his dragon form, and the warden comes in at just that second and aims a gun and shoots at Callie. Despite not being in her like super dragon form, like her superhero dragon form, she dodges the bullet and hits the warden over the head, and Crane like picks her up in dragon form and flies her out of there. So while I appreciate that she's a woman who can rescue herself, she rescued herself in the least plausible way possible by literally dodging a bullet. And it's also less satisfying because it's not like she used her like resourcefulness or intelligence to escape. It was just like she was lucky enough to literally dodge a bullet. It's not that satisfying. And again, I have a problem with this conflict that, like, it's so easily resolved because, like, the book just isn't about that. The book just doesn't really have conflict, and it doesn't really want conflict. It's just like, yeah, you found your fated dragon mate, and you're gonna bone, and you're gonna have beautiful babies. Which, like, is fine, but there's no real villain. There's no real reason why they can't be together, because originally it was like, oh, you have to serve out your sentence, but he's just like, yeah, no, never mind. They're both just like, yeah, no, never mind. That was a silly idea. We're just gonna burn down the prison. And they never face any consequences for their actions. I'm just gonna say there's no real conflict in this book. So, because these kids just really are great at planning for the future, while Crane is in dragon form, he's like clearly flying in a specific direction. Callie's like, wait, you don't have a house, you don't own any property, you're a career criminal, you have nothing to your name, where are you taking me? And he's like, yeah, I actually just have this cave in the mountains that I have full of gold. We're fine, just trust me on this one. What? This was never mentioned before. If he had been like a Dirk Valentine style, like Jesse James, famous bank robber who like might have a stash somewhere, if they had like mentioned that beforehand, I would be more willing to buy into this. But it's just like, oh yeah, no, I just have a stash of gold in a cave that nobody knows about. We'll just hang out there for a year until the heat dies down. Also, what if she doesn't want to live in a cave? Or is there running water? Is there electricity? Does she have access to good prenatal care because she's pregnant now? Okay. So how can you not know you're a dragon if you live, like, just have a spare cave full of gold on hand? So they fly off into the sunset, and we get an epilogue a year later. They had twins. Yay. They're, like, at someone's castle, and, like, all of the previous book people are there, and they're, like, all having a great time, and they're talking about how many more dragon mates are out there, and alluding to the rest of the series. It seems like all of these women are like from the same like sorority or like high school or something. So they all know each other, and they're all alphabetical. Of course, the next one is Deanna, who's a doctor, because we had Callie, the counselor. It's both cute and very annoying. The alliteration. Yeah, that's the book. Again, it wasn't the worst written thing. Like, it was clear that the author put like some care and attention into it. It wasn't my thing. The sex scenes left something to be desired. If you're into a lot of wailing, this could be for you. This could be for you. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me on this ride. Unfortunately, we did not get bingo yet again. I think I'm gonna have to rework this because I hate losing. We're gonna have to find a better way. But I hope you enjoyed hearing about the Dragon's Curvy Counselor. Thank you so much to Annabelle Winters for providing us with this entertainment. If you want to see more Bad Book Bingo, please like and subscribe. And I will see you next time.